There comes a moment in life when you must decide who holds the remote control to your emotions. Every day, you meet people who will test you, challenge you, irritate you, or even try to pull you down. But the greatest mistake you can ever make is giving them the power to control your mood. Your peace is your responsibility. Your emotional balance is your responsibility, and your reaction is your responsibility. Your emotions are not something the world should manage for you. They are something you must learn to master. Many people move through life believing that others are responsible for how they feel, as if their happiness depends on how gently others speak, how kindly others act, or how much attention others give. But true emotional strength begins the moment you understand that nobody owes you emotional comfort. Nobody owes you perfect behavior. Nobody owes you consistency. You must build those things within yourself. Taking responsibility for your emotions does not mean ignoring your feelings. It means understanding them, regulating them, and guiding them. It means recognizing that you have the power to pause before reacting, the power to choose a different perspective, and the power to protect your peace even when the world around you is chaotic. When you blame others for how you feel, you weaken yourself. When you own your emotional state, you strengthen yourself. Life will bring challenges, people will disappoint you, and situations will not always go your way. But emotional responsibility means reminding yourself that while you cannot control what happens, you can always control how you respond. It is the internal decision to no longer live like a puppet whose strings are pulled by outside circumstances. It is understanding that the real battlefield is not out there, it is inside your mind, inside your heart, and inside your reactions. And the truth is, emotional maturity is a daily discipline. It grows every time you choose calm over chaos, reflection over impulsiveness, and understanding over anger. Every time you manage your emotions with strength, you reclaim a little more power, a little more peace, and a little more control over your life. No matter who you are, no matter how kind, patient, or genuine you try to be, life will always place people in your path who will test your mood, your peace, and your emotional stability. Some will do it intentionally, trying to provoke a reaction just to feel powerful. Others will do it unintentionally because they are dealing with their own stress, frustrations, and unresolved issues. But the reality is this: you cannot escape people who test you, but you can control how deeply their behavior affects you. Every single day, you interact with individuals carrying emotional baggage you know nothing about. Some people wake up with anger already inside them. Some carry insecurities that make them overly sensitive or defensive. Some feel invisible, so they use irritation or conflict as a way to feel noticed. And some simply lack emotional awareness, so they spill their negative energy onto whoever crosses their path. When you understand this, you stop expecting everyone to be emotionally stable or balanced. People may raise their voice, but you don't have to raise yours. People may misunderstand you, but you don't have to force them to understand. People may treat you unfairly, but you don't have to let their behavior dictate your inner world. The more you grow, the more you will realize that emotional triggers are tests of your patience, your maturity, and your self-control. And the truth is, the world mirrors your inner state. When someone tests your mood, it's not just about them. It becomes an opportunity for you to see how grounded you truly are. Do you get pulled into every emotional storm around you, or can you remain centered, calm, and composed even when the environment is chaotic? These moments reveal your emotional strength more than any peaceful moment ever could. The people who test your mood are not always enemies. They are often the unintended teachers that life sends your way. They show you where you need healing, where you need boundaries, and where you need growth. They highlight the areas within you that require more patience, more clarity, and more emotional maturity. And as long as you live, these tests will continue not to break you, but to shape you into someone who can stand strong no matter what, or who tries to shake you. Imagine your emotions being controlled by a remote pause. Play, rewind, fast forward. Now imagine handing that remote to someone else. Every time they speak, your mood changes. Every time they disapprove, your confidence drops. Every time they get upset, you panic. This is exactly what happens when you allow people to dictate how you feel. You lose control of your inner world because you've given others the power to determine your state of mind. When you let someone else control your emotions, you allow them to influence your thoughts, your reactions, even your decisions. And the more reactive you become, the more power they gain. Suddenly, a single comment can ruin your entire day. A small disagreement can destroy your peace. A careless remark can make you question yourself. This emotional dependency becomes a silent chain that limits your personal freedom. You must understand that not every opinion deserves a place in your heart, and not every attitude deserves to shift your spirit. People will project their own fears, judgments, and negativity onto you, but you have the choice to accept it or reject it. You get to decide what enters your mind and what stays outside your emotional boundaries. Think about how different your life becomes when you hold the remote. You decide when to stay calm. You decide what deserves your attention. You decide when to detach, when to breathe, and when to let something go. Emotional independence doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you stop being controlled. It means you respond with intention instead of reacting out of impulse. When you take back the remote, you reclaim your power. You show yourself that your mood is not a puppet that controls one else's behavior. You remind yourself that your emotional world is sacred, and only decide who gets access to it. This level of emotional mastery gives you stability, strength, and clarity that no one can easily shake. Because the truth is, the moment you stop letting others push your emotional buttons, you start living from a place of inner authority. You start choosing peace over pressure, wisdom over reaction, and strength over sensitivity to people's moods. And that is where true emotional freedom begins. One of the greatest signs of emotional maturity is understanding that you don't have to respond to everything that is said to you, about you, or around you. Not every comment requires your energy, your explanation, or your emotional involvement. Some comments are spoken out of anger, some out of ignorance, some out of insecurity, and some simply because people don't think before they speak. If you react to everything, you will spend your life fighting unnecessary battles that drain your peace. You must recognize that many comments are not reflections of who you are, they are reflections of who the other person is. Their words often reveal their wounds, their mindset, their fears, and their emotional instability. If someone is bitter, their words will carry bitterness. If someone is insecure, their comments will carry insecurity. If someone isn't happy, their tone will carry frustration. Responding to these comments only pulls you into their emotional storm. There is incredible strength in silence. Silence is not weakness. Silence is control. It is the decision to protect your peace rather than prove your point. When someone throws negativity at you, your silence can be louder than any reaction you could possibly give. It shows that you are not easily shaken, not easily manipulated, and not easily pulled into emotional chaos. You must also understand that reacting to every comment turns you into a prisoner of people's words. You become overly sensitive, constantly triggered, constantly on edge. But when you learn to let certain things pass, you free yourself. You rise above petty arguments. You rise above unnecessary drama. And you rise above the noise of people who have no real influence on your life. Not every conversation is worth your time. Not every opinion is worth your attention. Not every criticism deserves your explanation. And not every insult requires your defense. The moment you learn to differentiate between what deserves your voice and what deserves your silence, you step into a higher level of emotional clarity and self-respect. Sometimes the best reaction is no reaction. Sometimes ignoring something is the strongest statement you can make. Sometimes walking away is the smartest move you can choose. And sometimes allowing people to reveal who they are without your involvement is the most powerful form of protection you can give yourself. Your mood is not just a temporary feeling, it is the filter through which you experience your entire day. The way you start your morning, the emotions you carry into your tasks, and the attitude you choose in moments of pressure all shape how the rest of your day unfolds. When you allow someone's behavior, comment, or attitude to disturb your mood early on, you unknowingly set the tone for everything that follows. A negative mood doesn't stay isolated, it spills into your thoughts, affects your decisions, and colors the way you interpret situations. Something small becomes something big. A minor inconvenience feels like a major setback. A simple mistake looks like a failure. And all of this happens because your emotional state has been shaken. What was supposed to be a productive day suddenly becomes heavy, slow, and filled with frustration, not because the day changed, but because your mood changed. This is why emotional protection is not selfish, it is strategic. If someone ruins the first 5 minutes of your morning, will you allow them to ruin the next 23 hours and 55 minutes too? When your mood drops, your clarity drops. Your motivation falls, your confidence weakens, and your ability to make good decisions is compromised. This is how small emotional triggers become big emotional consequences. On the other hand, when you guard your mood like something valuable, your entire day benefits from it. A calm mood helps you think clearly. A positive mood helps you handle challenges with patience. A stable mood helps you stay grounded instead of reactive. You speak better, work better, and connect with people better when your emotional state is balanced. You become more intentional with your energy. You become more selective with what you allow to influence you. You begin to understand that one moment of irritation is not worth losing your peace, your focus, or your productivity. And as you strengthen this awareness, your days start to feel lighter, more controlled, and more aligned with the life you want to live. When you take control of your mood, you take control of the rhythm of your day. You stop letting distractions dictate your attitude. You stop letting minor problems create major emotional waves. You stop allowing temporary situations to set permanent tones. And slowly, you start to realize that most of your day is shaped not by what happens to you, but by how you choose to feel about it. One of the most liberating truths you can learn in life is this: people who are hurting on the inside often spread that hurt to others. When someone lashes out at you, criticizes you unfairly, disrespects you, or tries to bring you down, it is not always a reflection of your worth. It is often a reflection of the battles they are fighting within themselves. Many people walk around carrying emotional wounds, disappointments, fears, insecurities, and unhealed trauma. And when they don't know how to process those feelings, they project them outward. Some people are overflowing with anger they don't know how to release, so they snap at others. Some are filled with insecurity, so they attack anyone who seems confident. Some feel invisible, so they create conflict as a way to feel seen. Some have never felt loved, so they struggle to show love. And some are battling storms you know nothing about, so their words and actions come out as harsh, cold, or hurtful. Understanding this shifts your perspective from taking things personally to seeing the deeper truth behind people's behavior. This awareness doesn't excuse their actions, but explains their reactions. When you see someone acting out of pain, you stop reacting with your own pain. You stop absorbing their negativity as if it belongs to you. Instead, you begin to observe with clarity. This is not about me. This is about what they're carrying. And that simple shift gives you emotional freedom. It prevents you from getting dragged into unnecessary battles that drain your energy. When hurt people speak, their voice often echoes their wounds, not their wisdom. When they criticize, it's often rooted in their own dissatisfaction with themselves. When they judge harshly, it's because they judge themselves even more harshly. When they try to break others, it's because they feel broken inside. And once you understand this, you learn to respond with calmness rather than anger, distance rather than defensiveness, and emotional strength rather than emotional reaction. This understanding also helps helps you build stronger emotional boundaries. You learn to separate someone's emotional state from your own. You learn to walk away from negativity without guilt. You learn that compassion doesn't mean accepting disrespect. And you learn that empathy doesn't mean allowing yourself to be drained by someone else's hurt. Because at the end of the day, hurt people don't need another person to absorb their pain. They need someone to refuse to mirror it back. They need someone who can stay grounded, someone who can remain centered, and someone who understands that their behavior is a symptom of an internal struggle, not a personal attack. One of the most important realizations you will ever come to is that your mood should be shaped by where you are going in life, not by how people treat you in the moment. Your purpose, your goals, your dreams, your values, these are the things that deserve to influence your emotional state. But most people spend their entire day reacting to the moods, attitudes, and opinions of others without realizing that they are drifting further away from their true direction. When you allow people's behavior to dictate your mood, you are letting temporary emotions interfere with long-term progress. Someone's disrespect can ruin your motivation. Someone's bad day can trigger your anger. Someone's careless words can drain your confidence. Suddenly, you're no longer living according to your goals. You're living according to someone else's emotional instability. This is how people unknowingly lose focus, lose productivity, and lose control over their own energy. But when you decide that your purpose is more important than people's behavior, everything changes. You stop allowing small interactions to influence your mindset. You stop giving power to situations that don't align with your growth. You begin to respond based on your vision instead of your frustration. You choose the emotional state that helps you move forward rather than the one that pulls you backward. Purpose-driven emotions come from clarity. They come from knowing who you are, what you want, and why you're doing what you're doing. When you hold your purpose close, people's behavior starts to feel small compared to the bigger picture you're working toward. Someone's negativity doesn't hit you the same way, because your mind is focused on something greater. Someone's attitude doesn't shift your energy because you've already decided the tone your day before they even open their mouth. Your purpose serves as a shield. It protects your peace. It guards your mind. It keeps you aligned, focused, and emotionally stable. Even when the world around you is chaotic, when your mood is rooted in your purpose, you start living with intention, not reaction. You start choosing what uplifts your spirit instead of what drains it. You start responding in ways that reflect your strength, not the weakness of those around you. And the beautiful part is that once you practice this consistently, you build a level of emotional independence that cannot be easily shaken, because your mood is no longer influenced by who likes you, who offends you, who misunderstands you, or who tries to provoke you. You rise above all of that. You operate from a deeper place, a place connected to your mission, your growth, and your identity. One of the most important lessons in emotional intelligence is learning that your energy is precious and you cannot waste it on everything that demands attention. Every day, countless situations, comments, conflicts, and minor frustrations compete for your focus. If you give your energy to everything, you become exhausted, overwhelmed, and reactive. You end up drained by things that ultimately have little impact on your growth, happiness, or peace. Learning to be selective with what deserves your attention is a vital skill for protecting your mental and emotional well-being. Not everything happening around you requires your intervention. Not every insult, mistake, or negative vibe deserves a reaction. People will always act out, misunderstand, or challenge you, but that does not automatically make it your problem. By choosing where to invest your emotional energy, you reclaim your time, your focus, and your ability to respond intentionally rather than impulsively. Your energy is a resource. If spent unwisely, it leaves you depleted and vulnerable to negativity. The truth is, giving energy to trivial matters gives power to people or situations that do not not deserve it. When you overact, you allow minor problems to feel monumental. When you dwell on criticism, you magnify opinions that are not even yours to carry. When you take responsibility for things outside your control, you surrender your inner peace and shift your focus away from things that truly matter. Energy wasted cannot be regained. It is finite. And once lost, it weakens your emotional resilience. Being conscious of your energy means setting boundaries. It means learning to walk away when necessary, to ignore when possible, and to respond with wisdom rather than impulse. It means understanding that you can care without being consumed, listen without absorbing negativity, and act without reacting emotionally. Every moment you spend focused on what truly matters is a moment invested in your growth, your peace, and your purpose. When you protect your energy, you also protect your relationships, your work, and your mental clarity. You stop giving life to unnecessary drama and start channeling your strength into things that uplift, inspire, and propel you forward. You begin to see that emotional boundaries are not walls, they are shields that allow you to navigate the world with focus, intention, and resilience. And over time, mastering the art of energy management becomes a cornerstone of emotional freedom and personal power. Emotional discipline is not about suppressing your feelings or pretending that challenges don't affect you. It is about choosing how you respond to life, no matter what comes your way. True strength is not measured by how loud your reactions are or how forcefully you express your anger. It is measured by how calmly and intentionally you handle situations that could easily destabilize others. The ability to remain composed in the face of provocation, disappointment, or chaos is one of the greatest indicators of inner power. When you practice emotional discipline, you acknowledge that emotions are temporary, they come and go, but the decisions you make in those emotional moments can have permanent consequences. An impulsive outburst can harm relationships, damage your reputation, or derail your progress. A well-controlled response, even in the face of adversity, can build respect, create opportunities, and strengthen your character. Discipline allows you to see the bigger picture and act in alignment with your values. Rather than being swept away by fleeting feelings, this strength is built over time through intentional practice and self-awareness. Every time you pause before reacting, every time you choose patience over anger, and every time you respond with thoughtfulness instead of emotion, you are exercising emotional discipline. It is a daily workout for your mind and heart, requiring consistency, mindfulness, and courage. The more you practice, the stronger you become until maintaining composure becomes second nature even under pressure. Emotional discipline also protects your peace. When others attempt to provoke you or test your patience, it acts as a shield, allowing you to remain grounded rather than drawn into unnecessary conflict. It gives you the ability to detach from negative energy without becoming cold or indifferent. It helps you recognize which battles are worth fighting and which ones are better left alone. This awareness alone empowers you to maintain stability in a world full of unpredictability. Ultimately, emotional discipline is a declaration of independence. It is a statement that no one has the right to control your reactions or dictate your emotional state. It is the conscious decision to remain in command of your mind, your heart, and your life. It is a quiet yet unshakable form of power, one that separates those who are reactive from those who are resilient, and those who are driven by circumstances from those who are guided by purpose